What is up, everyone? I want to just go ahead and say Happy New Year to everybody out there. New Year, no beard. I got tired of eating my mustache when I wear my mask at work. Yes, I do. I still do wear a mask, and I am going to wear my mask because not necessarily just because of the pandemic, but because I just like wearing masks now. I just think it's really cool. It's like, why would I want to not do this anymore? I like the idea of, like not nobody knowing who I am when I walk outside. It's beautiful. But I almost did not make it to this year. So like last Wednesday, I used to have a can of compressed air that I used to use to clean out my laptop keyboard. So I would just press the button and now the thing is that I don't know why, and I don't remember doing this, and I don't know why it happened. But my compressed air was next to my heater that I had running because it was cold that day, and that day it exploded. The air, like, thankfully it wasn't flammable or toxic because I was asleep when it exploded. So it was like it exploded like right where my head was. So while I'm dreaming, I hear the explosion, and the first thing I'm thinking is initially, because of the week, the time of the year that it is, people are shooting the guns in the air. They're like, "Yeehaw! I love me some New Year's Day, bang bang." But the first thing that went through my head was, okay, that sounded really close, and what's that weird smell? So, you know, uh, yeah. Needless to say, I aired the room out, and I can still every so often if I breathe in enough, I can still taste a hint of it, but hopefully it's not toxic, right? There's that. But that's how I almost ended the year. Let's talk about how other people ended the year, right? Let's talk about that for a second. First off, I mean, Sam Bankman Fried is a fraud now. You got Donald Trump's his tax returns got brought back. The Tate brothers got arrested in Romania for human trafficking and money laundering, if I'm not mistaken. You have you know, you got Tory Lanez facing consequences for his actions. I mean, and let's not forget, the timeless classics of Kevin Samuels' ultimate passing, Elon Musk burning down Twitter, and Kanye West basically going missing after doubling down on the fact that he likes Hitler of all people. So right now we're facing a time where some of the most annoying dudes on the internet, not even annoying dudes, some of the most annoying people on the internet right now are probably spiraling mentally because all of their heroes in some way, shape, form, or fashion is either receiving consequences for something they have done wrong, or are ultimately paying the price for something that they did that was wrong. And I want to just take this time to point out, I'm enjoying this. I am absolutely enjoying this. I need for y'all to realize here, first off, having heroes is not a good thing. It's cute when you're a kid, but when you're an adult, we have to really take into some time to realize that people are people, and people will do what people do. People disappoint. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking myself out of the equation here. I know for a fact that on the off chance that I end up becoming famous, somebody's gonna look through. I had YouTube since 2008, 2007, 2006. I've had a YouTube for a long time, and at some point, if I were to get famous, you're gonna go through my old videos and look for something to incriminate me with, and I'm just gonna say I did that. That's what I did. You know. So it's like my whole thing is I'm aware that we are more than capable of, making mistakes as people. You feel me? My whole thing is that, like, the thing that really kind of stresses me out about this is that, like, there are people right now who are still supporting the bad thing after it happens. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just wild to me. Like, I don't care how specifically devoted I get to anyone in any way, shape, form, or fashion. If they do something as terrible as human trafficking, I'm going to be like, sure, I used to be a fan of those people before I learned what kind of person they were. I used to be the biggest Ian Watkins fan because I was a really big fan of Lost Prophets, the band Lost Prophets. Great music. I did not realize that Ian Watkins was a monster, though. Now now I have a hard time listening to Lost Prophet songs because all I can think of is his mugshot picture and that gross thing that he said that I will not repeat on here. Just look it up. Ian Watkins says disturbing things. But yeah, though, that's my that's my take on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are living in a time where we're starting to see the internet, or rather like social media, start to break off into sectors. And there's this sector that I like to call Gendernet. And Gendernet is basically where people kind of get together and talk about like gender-based issues, or rather they kind of they empower themselves by sort of like taking pot shots at a specific gender. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, basically, it's kind of like the equivalent of, homophobia and stuff like that. But instead of it being about sexuality, it's about, oh, this person because they're a woman, or this person because they're a man, blah, 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 blah. And I really want to take this time to make fun of the Tate brothers in particular, because they capitalized on this for like a few months. I went from not knowing who the Tate brothers are to just being happy that they are getting some sort of consequences for who they are, because they were saying some terrible stuff beforehand. Like, I remember they were saying something about like grooming kids. Like, what's that about, right? What's going on? So I find it kind of weird that we kind of, we're having, like, my biggest problem with the gender net is that, like, right now, because gender is an issue. You know what I'm saying? It is a thing, especially in America, because apparently, like, even, especially because, like, the whole toxic masculinity thing, is basically making it a challenge to be a woman, or to even as much as sympathize with women on their issues. Because it's like, well, women, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it shouldn't be that way. They're still, they're still humans. Treat them like people. So there's that. I just think it's kind of weird that we still are trying to push this narrative of women being like, there's a narrative being pushed right now where it's like women aren't nearly as strong as men, right? Or women aren't stronger than men. I can tell you, I saw a woman lift up like 400 pounds. She just went down and then put it back down. I can't lift 400 pounds. You're gonna seriously sit here and tell me that you can outlift, if like, as a man, you're gonna seriously sit here and tell me that you can outlift quite possibly one of the world's strongest women? Go ahead, I welcome you to try. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I am very comfortable enough in my masculinity to admit that I would probably lose a tennis match against both Williams sisters. I have never played tennis before. I've only played tennis before, like, briefly. Those ladies will murder me. So there's that. I'm just saying though. So it's like we kind of have this. We have this thing to kind of go into right now, where we're talking about. I really don't like the fact that when it comes to gender issues on both sides of the discussion is about the other gender. Like, I can't tell you how often I encounter men on the internet who be on the internet and all they talk about is women. You know what I mean? And it's like, for what? Who cares, right? Or they talk about, homosexual men, which is like, for what? Like, why are these people, like, there's much more important things, especially like in the black part of the manosphere. Like, there's this whole idea that is like, rather than talk about the fact that as black men, we are like quite possibly more likely to get shot by police officers, or like improperly handled by the judicial system. Instead of talking about these things and trying to find ways to actually solve that problem, instead you're saying black women be on welfare, or child support sucks. How dare they put me on child support after I impregnate them and decide not to take care of the kid? Please stop whining about this and just go take care of your kid, bro. Herschel Walker has just basically been a poster child of why this is not good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, the issues there's a lot of issues to be talking about, and people don't want to have these issues. People don't want to have these discussions. And instead they want to talk about, right now it's becoming a bit of a blame game and a game of finger pointing. You know what I mean? Like, you're the reason why the world is bad. No, you're the reason why the world is bad. It's like, guys, everybody is terrible. Let's fix the problem. Let's talk about how we're going to fix the issues and stuff like that. It's just it's a completely different thing. And I get more annoyed by the guys who talk about this sort of stuff, because what they tend to do is like one thing that they love to do is talk about how being an alpha male or being a masculine, manly man. And all they want to do is talk about how, having emotions and having feelings is basically the downfall of every man. But this whole community is basically started because dudes are upset because women shoot them down. That's all it is. I'm convinced that ultimately the beginning of the Manosphere started when a guy got upset, when a few guys got upset about getting shot down by the women that they wanted, and rather than just taking it on the chin and just going on about their lives, instead they said, you know what, let's talk about how terrible women are. And other guys who have also been burned by women, they just got together and they just said, yo, this guy knows what he's talking about, so I'm going to agree with everything he says from now on. And, hey, have you heard from this guy? And word of mouth and word of mouth and word of mouth. You became emotionally invested in something that hurt you. And you became emotionally invested in something that hurt you. And then you said, this isn't emotional. Not only that, but like the guy who established the term alpha male has been basically going on a tour saying, guys, I was wrong. This is not what it meant. I'm sorry. Please don't use this term to utilize what you're doing. And guys was like, nope, I'm using it anyway because I'm a man. I'm convinced that the phrase real man ultimately came from somebody who was probably like, I don't know, doing a survey for women back in the old days. And he was like, hey, he was like, okay, so women, what is it that you actually find sexually attractive in a man? And a lot of women say, oh, we want a real man. We want a real man. We want a real man. And enough guys heard this, and this is probably like in the 1930s or something. And enough guys heard this, not understanding what a real man is and not smart enough to actually ask what a real man was. They just said, hey, I'm a real man. I'm a real man. How's about you date me? You know what I'm saying? And that just never died. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now you got now you have like women out here saying, you're not a real man. It's like, yes, I am. What makes a man a real man? And nobody ever actually answered this question with specifics. So now nobody knows what a real man qualifies as. So they're just using whatever airy, aesthetic, vague thing that they can say. Like one of my favorite ones is, a real man knows how to handle his business, which can literally mean anything. The word business is so vague now. It used to be that it was something that gives you money. Now it's just something that you have. I don't know. It's just like, the power of words and the power of, like trying to make everything, like not everything is obvious. Context isn't always included in what people say. Some people can say something and it'll mean something completely different to other people. And the problem is that everybody wants to feel smart because they know something that is not even there to begin with. You know what I mean? Like one person loves to say, a real man can provide for his family, which can literally mean anything, and also isn't gender based. Like if a real man can provide, so can a real woman, right? Like what happens? So what happens if a woman provides? Does that make her a man now? What's going on? Provides what exactly, right? Like, is it money, food, a house? What's going on? Is it physical stuff? Is it aesthetic stuff? Is it what's going on? The power of I always say that America's superpower is in its stupidity, and the problem is that like we, in hopes to try to not sound stupid, we try to act like we know things that aren't even like being put in front of us to understand. So it's like there's no specifics there. There's nothing there to actually like go on. But because you feel like you need to, because people are so obsessed with saying, I know that, they not even going to ask, what does this thing mean? Because they know that if they ask, what does this thing mean? The obvious response is always going to be, how do you not know? Well, I guess I shouldn't have. Well, if you have to ask, then you probably don't need to know, which is a really dumb statement ever. This is the dumbest statement I ever heard. If somebody's asking something, that's clearly because they need to know. You know, like you not answering the question doesn't make them look dumb for not knowing. It makes you look dumb for not being able to answer the question. And yes, that is something that they do in the manosphere. It's like, how can you be upset at women and then say men can't have feelings? Being upset is a feeling. Whew. The right wing love to ask the question, what is a woman? I'm going to double down on that. What is a man? Y'all have a good one. Love and peace. Be safe out there. And also, Happy New Year.